Thanks for checking out this horror film review from the BananaLaser Horror Podcast. You can find our full archive of every unedited show at horrorphilia.com. Also, subscribe to BananaLaser on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. It says YouTube. Well, click subscribe. Thanks, and keep on banana-ing.
Hey, yo! I know I'm human. And if you were all these things, then you'd just attack me right now. So some of you are still human. This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to. But it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won. There's a storm hitting us in 6 hours. We're gonna find out who's who.
All right, lasers, we're back with our feature presentation. John Carpenter's The Thing. It's the perfect movie for winter. I know it's either the end of winter or the beginning of spring, whenever you're listening to this. The Thing from 1982. Quick synopsis: scientists in the Antarctic are confronted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of the people that it kills. This movie stars Kurt Russell as MacReady, Wilford Brimley as Dr. Blair, Keith David as Childs, and a bunch of other people that you don't know their name, but they're in this movie. So, we all know that John Carpenter has a love for the 50s version of this movie because he put it in his movie Halloween, his very first movie. And that movie itself, which I guess maybe this movie, is based off a short story called Who Goes There? And they're all kind of similar yet different. I am unaware of that story, so I don't know if this particular film follows more closely to the short story or the 50s movie, which I haven't seen either. Have you guys read the short story or anything like that?
I haven't, and I haven't seen the movie. Have you?
Nope.
I've seen some clips. It looks boring. I've been told it was slow.
I'm going to watch it because I guess there's a game you could play with the door opening and closing or some shit.
Do what now?
There's a game you could play with the original movie every time. I guess they're opening doors throughout the whole movie, so every time a door opens, take a shot or something like that. It's some type of game.
And you die of alcohol poisoning.
So many doors are walked through. It's crazy.
That's, I guess, is some. But apparently this story is closer to the Who Goes There novella or short story or whatever it was than it was the original thing from outer space.
We've all already been on record, I believe, as saying that we either really like this film or love it. So I'm glad today that we get to discuss it in a longer format and just pick it apart like assholes. You know, it's usually what we do on this show. But let's talk about the cast a little bit before we get into the movie. I've already said a few of their names, and the rest of the guys, most of us don't know, but we recognize them. And I thought that really worked well for this movie, because even though you don't know every single character's name, and there's a lot of them, every guy is so specific in this movie and is a character actor already that you connect with them that way. Not even every character has like a character trait that you connect with. It's just them. And the reason I bring this up is because I also recently watched The Thing prequel or reboot or whatever you want to call it, where it's basically the same story with the Norwegian camp, and they do the same thing with a large cast of characters, but it just doesn't do the same thing. You have no idea, no recognizability with any of the characters like that. So I don't know necessarily how it works in this movie, but it works quite well with all the characters.
They're relatable. Every one of them is very relatable, and they're so believable.
Especially the guy that smokes weed!
Woohoo! Fuck yeah. Yeah. But it's very believable, and I was watching the documentary, and they were saying that it really became that way, because they were all out there for a while, and they were doing this for a while. I mean, Carpenter said that it was the longest prep he ever did. It was over a year since he fucking started it and finished the movie, which is, by today's standards, that's pretty absurd. So these guys were out there for a while when they were in British Columbia filming, and then they were in LA doing their stuff, for sets. But they were together a lot, just the 12 men, the actors, and the crew. So, yeah, it's very believable to me.
But where's the chicks, man? There's no chicks.
Yeah.
Hey, you got a voice on the computer.
Your move, king to rook 1. My move, rook to knight 6. Checkmate. Checkmate.
Cheating bitch.
Yeah, you know who that voice is?
Who?
Vanna White.
Vanna White?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
No, good guess,
Yeah, she was saying, everybody, please go home and confine your activities to your own home. Please go to bed now, everybody.
No, it's not Silver Shamrock Girl. No, it's it's actually Adrienne Barbeau once again.
Holy shit!
Now, Dave, were they still together? Is that why she's in this movie? Because they were still married?
I would say maybe. I mean, I don't know how long their marriage lasted, but it's only
Dave,
a couple years.
Were they knocking the boots? Yes or no?
Well, maybe he's.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's porking her too, like that.
Maybe he rat in her face.
Maybe he spilled his goo on her shoe.
That's where I come.
I had to
shoes. Got a foot fetish.
Okay, $10 million. That's what it took to make this movie. And Halloween was only $375,000.
Well, it shows because if there's one thing to discuss in this movie, it's the quality of the effects. I mean, I think that's the one thing that absolutely everybody raves about, and we could just get that out of the way in the beginning because they're amazing. I mean, even to today's standards, they look spectacular. And this kind of creature, quote unquote, is something unlike any other filmed monster, in that we've seen monsters that transition, whether it be the Wolfman or the fucking T-1000 or whatever, but this thing doing what it does and a sort of, I don't know, using all different parts that it knows to create a beast is, and different every single time, is just amazing. It's just fun shit.
Incredible. Rob Bottin is fucking just... Dude was 22 years old when he fucking made this movie and got this job. Yeah, 22. And they gave him a fucking staff of 40. And the dude worked his fucking ass off. And it's... Anyone in the world that says that fucking CGI is better than practical effects, just go back and watch this movie because it's ridiculous.
Go back and watch the prequel because that's a clear-cut case where the effects just aren't as good. Now, I'm a defender of the prequel. I actually enjoy it, but that's only because I like to return to this John Carpenter world. It's obviously a lesser film, but when you compare the effects, it just isn't the same. There's a disconnect, definitely.
Oh, that's a good idea. Watch the prequel and then watch this, just because of the the continuity, but also to compare. You're right, because this the CG was one of the things that turned some people off to it. So, but this, I mean, just think about what they're using. They're using fucking, back in those days, I mean, they're using fucking rubber and wax, and he was talking about using Jello and shit and plastic.
Shit?
Yeah, shit. Everything but shit, pretty much. But they used like gum, glue, KY jelly. Yep, KY jelly.
Whenever Wilford Brimley has his two hands deep inside one of the dead, quote unquote, things, and it's just it's just so gooey. I love it.
That part is so cool with the fucking, when he is taking, not even that part, the second part when they bring back the after they torch the dogs and they're peeling the skin back and you see like the skull fragments underneath. That is so fucking realistic looking. It's crazy. It's just.
And Wilford Brimley is making like a kind of noise when he's doing it. I fucking died laughing this time watching it. It was like, yeah, throw up, old man.
Oh my God.
Dave, they use KY jelly. How long were they out there in the Arctic? It got to that point?
Well, apparently one of the guys was talking in the documentary. He goes, I didn't know that you could buy KY jelly in 5-gallon buckets. And he goes, I went to this place and there was fucking gallons of KY jelly, 5-gallon buckets all over the place. So, who knows what they were up to? There was no women there. Yeah.
Exactly. That's where I'm going with this.
I know you are. And I'm agreeing. Who knows what really went down? Yeah, or who went down for that matter.
If there was a woman there, that bitch was getting raped.
Well, there was a woman there for a short time, but she had to leave. And she was pregnant.
And her name was Adrienne Barbeau.
Her name was...
We say her in every other fucking review of John Carpenter. Might as well just add her in here.
Stevie Wayne.
KDXK.
She was actually
Antonio Bay. Antonio Bay. You're listening.
She was
KDXK. Antonio Bay. You're listening to KDXK.
She was Amanda Kruger. That's who she was. And she bore the bastard son of
Freddy
12.
Krueger's... Yeah. Oh, really? That's why she had to leave the set, because she was getting ready to birth a demon?
Yeah.
It was
that's
John Kruger's wife. Johnny Krug's wife. I mean, mom.
Mom, I could buy that. Yeah, why not? That goes with the timeline. But yeah, I mean, you can't compare. I mean, what an amazing fucking... And he did so much... They had to hospitalize him at one point for exhaustion, fucking Brad Bottin. And then, who did they bring in to replace him in the short time he was gone? Fucking Stan Winston. Yeah, so Stan Winston is, for the most part, responsible for a lot of the stuff in the kennel in the beginning, when the first time we see the Thing do anything.
The dog transformation.
Yeah, a lot of the ideas came from Bottin, but when you actually seen the dogs laying down and it was a lot of it was done with puppetry even. So, but it was really cool because Bottin was talking about it. He was saying, if you look really quick, it just looks like that one part which is amazing with the fucking dogs, and the thing opens up and this thing comes out. It looks like it's a flower.
Mm-hmm.
He goes,
I love that. Yeah.
He goes, it's not a flower. He goes, if you slow it down, he goes, all the things that are in the so-called petals are actually dog tongues and fucking dog teeth.
What? That's crazy. That sounds awesome. I gotta watch this again.
Right. It's too bad that it happened so quickly, because he wanted, he thought to go into detail with it and do that, to say that it's, from the dogs, but it happened so quick you don't even really get to see it. He played the lead fucking dude in The Fog, and that's when he first met John Carpenter.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we probably talked about it on that show.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so he played there. But...
With the main ghost, Bradley or whatever?
Yeah, whatever his name was, right. What the fuck was his name? Did we
Sword Swallower? I forget.
Back to the thing, the movie and the effects. That one scene took fucking 10 hours to fucking film, the stomach thing. When the clamp down on the fucking arms and all the shit comes out of the fucking guy's stomach. When Norris goes down, that whole situation. 10 hours. And they fucked up the first time. I had to start doing it again. So.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I guess the first time it all squirted out like a fucking Las Vegas fountain, and then they had to recut it, and they had to the guy had to get up again and do it. It was late in the day, and they had to finish it that day, and that just goes to show you what went in to the makeup department, and it's no wonder why Bottin got exhausted at one point.
Well, what we got here is what appears to be, anyway, a normal set of internal organs. Heart, lungs, kidneys, liver, intestines. Seem to be normal.
All right, so the film opens up. You see the cold landscape. The score comes in. And let's talk about that, because the score is not done by John Carpenter, surprisingly. It's done by someone else.
Morricone, which is ridiculous that it's him.
Why is it ridiculous?
Because it's as if it was John Carpenter's score.
Exactly. It's crazy, right? It's like he was over his shoulder saying, no, do it like this.
Which is hard to believe because of Morricone. He's done over 500 fucking scores. He's done shitloads. He's done a lot of spaghetti westerns. He's done fucking famous movies. He's done so many movies as Morricone, but maybe it sounds like Carpenter because it was the first time he played around with synth. And it may have been the equipment that, Carpenter was used to working with. Maybe he said, okay, here, play this here. I'll supply you with the fucking what to play with maybe. I don't know, but yeah, it's almost as if he's mimicking Carpenter.
And not just that, it's like the score, I mean, it's not like crazy melodic or like a hero moment or anything like that, but it's very pulsating. And, like most of Carpenter's scores are. It's very rhythmic. as opposed to melodic.
And do you know who was originally supposed to be the fucking guy that did the score of this movie?
Dave Boutine. Oh wait, what's his name? Dave
Boutine.
Rob
Boutine.
No, Rob Boutine.
Not his brother Dave. No, Jerry Goldsmith.
Oh, he did. Did he do Back to the Future? No, that was Silverstein. Never mind.
That you know, he did Gremlins, he did Poltergeist, he did The Twilight Zone. He's fucking done tons, and he has a signature sound. And to me, having Jerry Goldsmith score this movie, it wouldn't have fit in at all. But he passed away, and then he got Morricone. And the only Morricone that you may know for sure that you've seen that I could say would be the early Argento slashers, or Giallos of all things. Or with the crystal plumage in those movies. He scored those.
Oh shit, awesome.
But I agree. It's as if John Carpenter did it and he just had fucking, and he, ghost scored it. But why would Morricone do that?
It's strange. Yeah, and it's like he didn't want to take on another aspect of making this film. It's like he had his hands full, but yet the product that came out sounds so much like Carpenter. It's just an odd thing. But ultimately, the score works perfectly. I wouldn't change a single note. So, well,
once again, outside of the score, we have our team together. We have Carpenter, Deborah Hill, and fucking Dean Cundy again. So,
are we getting ready to go down a rabbit hole?
Oh, you know what? I didn't do it for this one. I did everything else, but I did so much research. But honestly, nothing came up. It's like what Alex said about what's her name, Adrienne Barbeau. That's about as far as we can go. So wait a minute. Barbeau and Hill were both here, in a matter of speaking. Who was John fucking? That's what we should have asked him.
Kurt Russell.
Speaking of Kurt Russell, he wasn't even supposed to have the part. He was friends with Carpenter because of the obvious, because they just finished Escape from New York.
Oh, wait. Don't tell me. It was supposed to be Rowdy Roddy Piper. Yes!
They look the same.
What?
And they should have had Kurt, well, the brown hair. They should have had Kurt Russell be the guy in the other movie.
They Live.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it would have been better than Piper. This is true, except for the fight scenes. But yeah, I agree. That would have been something. Yeah. But no, Nick Nolte, Jeff Bridges, and fucking Clint Eastwood were all people considered for that role.
What about
Clint
Gary Busey?
Eastwood? Oh. Gary Busey?
Or Todd Bridges. Forget about Jeff Bridges. Imagine him in that role.
You see, what we're talking about here is an organism that imitates other life forms, and it imitates them perfectly. When this thing attacked our dogs, it tried to digest them, absorb them, and in the process shape its own cells to imitate them. This, for instance, that's not dog. It's imitation. We got to it before it had time to finish.
Finish what?
Finish imitating these dogs.
Okay, I have some questions. Everybody knows this movie, The Thing, what it's about. It's an alien that they found in the ice. It's basically like a predatory alien. It's kind of like, I guess, the aliens from Alien. It's just like it's an intelligent being, and it kills to survive, and it assimilates by replicating any living organism. But I have some questions, and I hope it's not too nitpicky. But like, is there a thing? Is there like a humanoid thing or a creature that you can point at and say, this is the definite version of the Thing? This is what it looks like normally.
Before copies.
Yes.
Well, we won't know, because it crash landed into the Antarctic, and it came from another world, and then froze for 100,000 years underground. So initially, yes, it was an alien from another world, crash landed there, froze, then the Norwegians blew it up, woke up, and fucking started doing its thing. It has the power to take over an entire planet, obviously, because it could just take everything over and replicate itself over and over again.
So if the alien is smart enough to build this spacecraft and fly great distances across the universe, I'm just trying to envision what its home planet is like. It's like, why would they have the ability to do what it does? if it's a planet of this one race.
So they could colonize other places.
And own everything. Yeah.
Because just like the world is, like there's traffic everywhere you go. If these people, if you could send them in a rocket ship and put them on another planet, the world would be a better place if you got rid of half the amount of people. So with these things, there's just it's overpopulation. Maybe their planet is smaller and they have to colonize on other planets.
Well, so the overpopulation thing stirs something in me because the way this thing operates is if like one single cell gets into your system, it will eventually take you over. And it essentially will multiply. Does that make sense? Like, let's say if you're fighting with the creature and some of its blood gets inside of you, eventually it might take some time, but eventually, cell by cell, it will overtake you, right? And you will be one of them.
Sure.
Okay, so now, let's say if that happened, do you, whatever is remaining after it totally transforms, is there any thing of the human left? Like any sort of consciousness in there? Like, what I mean is, could you be the thing and not know it?
Until you're fully taken over, yes. Because that's what's happening with Norris in this movie.
Which one's that?
Norris is the guy, the heavy-set guy that fucking...
The guy who has the heart attack.
Yes.
The one who smashed everything?
No, that's Blair.
That was Wilford Brimley.
That's the doctor, right. That's Blair. But the other guy, he, because remember, he has the heart attack, dies, and then they bring him in the other room to resuscitate him. He was already on the way, and we kept seeing hints of it as it's going on. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's why he said, I don't think anybody can object to, remember when they had the big fucking fight, and because they were fighting about the blood and all that, who got in there, and... They said, well, you don't want to have this guy in charge anymore. And then the first thing Gary says is, because he's one of the two guys suspected, he goes, Norris, I don't think anybody would object to you. And he says, I don't really feel up to it. I think that is a hint. I think that he had it inside of him and didn't know. He knew that he felt off. And then you see that one scene later on when they're boarding things up, when he clenches his stomach for a second, and then eventually he has a heart attack, and that happens. So in that case, it was a slow takeover. For some reason, it wasn't like a complete takeover like we saw with the dogs, which was amazing. With the first they fire that white shit at him, and then they wrap him up in them fucking, spaghetti-like tentacles and assimilate with it. And,
The dog, they put the dog in the kennel with all the other dogs. And this is the first, freak out that we see of special effects. And it's amazing. The dog's face splits open and stuff like that. It's awesome. You can't praise it enough. But my question is, it's nitpicky, but why does the thing expose itself at that point? It's not like corner. It seems like the thing only freaks out, like things out, or whatever you want to call it, whenever it's in peril or its life is at risk.
But it's not freaking out. It's trying to multiply itself and to take over. So my immediate theory is this. It does it because it's a dog. And as soon as it goes in that thing, the other dogs, because they have, dog senses, they're growling at it, and they're already suspicious. Now, the people aren't suspicious. The Norwegians, obviously, were. They were fucking taking shots at him. But, the people took right to the dog, especially the Clark, the fucking dog guy. So they take him in, and he's just biding his time. As soon as they put it in the kennel, the other dogs realize something's wrong. They start growling at it. You see that. So in that case, it's on now. These dogs know that I'm not a fucking dog like them. I may as well fucking try to take them all on at once and do what I can do.
Okay, so in order for the thing to multiply and take over other beings, it has to do a crazy transformation like that. That's what you're saying?
It absorbs them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell's in there. It's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
It's funny how many times, and I've seen this movie a lot, how I never ask these questions.
I'll tell you what. I'm answering questions, but I have questions of my own. Maybe you guys can help me with my questions. How about the scene with Doc and Gary, the two gentlemen, the only two gentlemen that had access to that blood? Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, there's a big discrepancy, leads to all this shit, yada, 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 yada. Everything fucking goes to hell. here's what I want to know. Neither Doc nor Gary is ever exposed as a thing. So, how did that blood get destroyed? Anybody?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have the answer for that.
Damn it, Matt.
Okay, well, here, check this out. We got an email from a laser, Jason Bazar. Could that be right? Bazar, B-A-Z-A-R. I just butchered your name. You're welcome. Anyways, he's a huge fan of this movie. He goes on and on about it. The email is huge. But you brought up the key and the blood thing, and he's had something to say about it. He said, if you want a good example of a taut and frankly more complete writing in this film compared to all the other horror films out there, watch the scene that explains just how the Thing got those damn keys to the blood cabinet. Watch closely for the scene where you hear keys drop, something it took me years for me to finally notice. It leaves just enough unexplained to keep the debates going for decades. I love it.
Wow.
Do you know what he's talking about?
Keys, no. If I thought keys dropped at any time, then I would have a whole other perspective on this. No, I don't know that. How did I miss that? Well,
I don't know. And he even says it's something it took him years to finally notice. So I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
What were the odds that I was going to ask that question and that you just happened to get an email that had a fucking part of an answer? Man, pretty cosmic. Cosmic creepers here.
I have a question. This? When the dog, sprouts his face open and all that stuff, and then, I guess it's the initial, the first time they see anything. It seems like these two gigantic arms, reach up to the ceiling, and I thought they went into the ceiling and now they were running around the building, but that, I must have not been observing that correctly. That does not happen, right?
That's what happened, sure.
Yeah, it gets away in that scene.
It had nowhere else to go. It was in a cage, and over here was the people, and it was losing the battle because the fire was doing damage. So it had nowhere else to go. So it just sprouted up two arms and fucking crawled up and then fucking out. It was his only means of escape at the time.
That escapee is the one that got everybody else infected.
Well,
or it could have happened before too. But no, actually, it would have to be, except for the fact that because the dog was walking around before it was put in the kennel, anything could have happened. Mm-hmm. And I will add another piece of information here. There is that one part where the dog's walking around, walks into that room when you only see a person's shadow on the wall.
Yeah.
And you're not sure who it is. Here's the funny thing. John Carpenter put a random crew member there because he didn't want to put any of the actors in this film in there. So it would remain more ambiguous as to who that was.
Wow, the same as Psycho. They had someone else stand in the shower in front of the shower curtain so you couldn't notice Anthony Perkins' shoulder width.
Brilliant.
This is the entire camp is all scientists, right?
Or doctors or cooks or helicopter flyers.
Right. Okay, that's my whole thing is what's McCree's job? He's a
head
pilot?
chopper. Yeah, he's the head pilot.
Okay, that clears that up. Okay, and then the other guy, he just smokes weed, right?
I think that's about it, yeah.
Palmer?
Yeah, Palmer, yeah. And then the cook, he's also on roller skates the whole time, like Roller Boy. It's a little weird.
Well, not for, yeah, I guess so. But yeah, Palmer is he is also a pilot because they don't want him flying. Remember, at first he has that one line which I think is funny when he says, "Hey, we got to go where the fucking the Norwegians are," and then because he's been smoking weed, the one guy turns him down. But he stands up and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "Come on, I'll go." He goes, "Come on, I'll take you." And he goes, "No, I don't want to go with you." And then he goes, "Oh," he goes, "Hey, thanks for thinking about it," though. He tells him, and they don't want him to fly because I guess he's at the time he's stoned out of his mind.
Yeah, he's already flying.
He's a pilot, right?
Yeah, he lives in the fucking clouds. How much weed do you think this guy brought to stay in Antarctica for however long they are? Like, I don't know, a pound of weed?
Could you imagine being there for a year? Wow.
Oh, they're there for a year? Oh, he needs more than a pound.
Well, think about it. They know for a fact that they're not leaving the entire winter because they say something, the first goddamn week of winter, Max says. And obviously they're there for the winter because it's an Arctic expedition. So they're not leaving once it begins because, remember, it's a big deal just to fly a few miles because the weather's so shitty. So if they're there for 5 months of winter, you have to imagine that they're at least there half a year. So I said a year, but the one thing they got going for them is that they're flying their own choppers, so I guess you can put weed under the seat or in the back. I mean, there's no customs for in the air, is there? At least even back then. How are you going to do it?
Put it in his ass.
Nowadays, they probably would have to.
Sneak it in.
Thousands of years ago, it crashes, and this thing gets thrown out or crawls out, and it ends up freezing in the ice.
I just cannot believe any of this voodoo bullshit. Charles, happens all the time, man. They're falling out of the skies like flies. Government knows all about it, right, Mac? You believe any of this voodoo bullshit, Blair? Charles, chariots of the gods, man. They practically own South America.
So, yeah, okay, the environment plays a huge factor in this movie. But I thought it was, and it's great, it's very isolating. It just helps the paranoia of the film, and it's awesome.
The average annual temperature ranges from fucking minus 10 degrees to minus 60. What the fuck?
I don't know how Santa does it. How does he do it?
How does he? Oh, speaking of that, Donald Pleasance was the original person chosen to play the part of Blair.
I was going to say that's what this movie was missing, Donald Pleasance.
It was supposed to be him, and he was tied up in another something or other, but that was the intent of Carpenter when they were getting this movie. Granted, Brimley ends up doing a great job. He nails it. I couldn't imagine the movie without him, but I can imagine the movie with Donald Pleasance. I think it's hysterical, especially like when he's flipping out.
Nobody! You guys think I'm crazy? Well, that's fine. Most of you don't know what's going on around here. But I damn well. Sure, some of you do.
Christ. Could you imagine? He's like fucking, nobody's getting in out of here. Nobody. Fucking.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. That thing wanted to be us. I'll kill you. Yeah. Oh, could you imagine?
Or whenever they lock him up later in the movie, or right after that, and then later in the movie they go to visit him, and he's begging to you gotta let me out of here. You gotta let me out of here. And there's like a noose right next to him, like
Get
he's been
my
out.
ass away from here.
I'm okay now. I can see him doing it.
Oh man, yeah, you're right. That would have been good.
Blair, have you seen Fuchs?
I don't want to stay out here anymore. I want to come back inside. Funny things. I hear funny things out here.
Have you come across Fuchs?
It ain't Fuchs. It ain't Fuchs. I'm not going to harm anybody, and there's nothing wrong with me. And if there was, I'm all better now. I'd like to come back inside. Now, you got my promise. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute, man. I want to come back inside, don't you understand it? I'm all right. I'm much better. And I won't harm anybody. You got to let me come back inside.
It was great. And then he's like, when they first bring him back there, he's like, fucking, watch Clark. I could see him fucking doing that, and watch him closely. Yeah. Fuck.
He's not human.
You guys think I'm crazy,
Shoot him 7 times, not 6, 7.
I torched him 7 times. How come when these things were torched, they still had like the red skin on them instead of being crisp? Matt, you're a cook. What happens when you sear something?
When I cook alien meat, which happens a lot, I think all that plays into the fact that it's not really dead. It just goes in kind of a dormant stage. Right. I think that's what that is.
They weren't charred enough, because later on we discover
even his gums are charred.
They say that there was still cellular activity in the burned remains. They discovered that. So
Yeah, and even when they do the blood test, when they finally get around to McCready's blood test, he puts the hot needle in the infected blood, and it freaks out, and then you see the blood on the floor trying to escape by itself. Oh, so cool.
I thought that was crazy awesome, because that's what's truly frightening, is that it lives inside every single cell of this being. And so, yeah, that's crazy. It's like, what's to stop it?
But what happens to your cells, though? It imitates you, but what happens to you? Where do you go?
You become a part of it.
Well, it doesn't get times by twice. Like, you're not twice as big.
It takes over you, yet there's still a little bit of you left, because you see later on other scenes, like even at the very end of the movie, you see remnants of that dog still. You see a dog head when the thing shows itself at the end in the final fucking showdown. And then other times when you see when you see Norris getting fucking that part when the doc gets his arms, chewed off and the fucking thing comes up. The thing comes out of its stomach and it has the face of the other guy, Bennings or whoever it was. So it's like it still stays in there. Part of it still stays there, but yet the thing takes it over. So it's like it takes all these things and it all becomes one. And it just seems like it can show any form it wants. It's just made up of all these parts.
Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be. Right now, that may be one or two of us. By spring, it could be all of us.
So how do we know who's human? If I was an imitation, a perfect imitation, how would you know if it was really me?
Isn't it crazy that this alien went... I mean, it has a shot at the beginning of the spaceship crashing on Earth, and it is flying kind of erratic, so clearly he crashes. But isn't it weird that it's just one alien inside this gigantic spaceship?
Who fucking knows? They're aliens. You don't even know what they're up to. Some guy's just fucking cruising. Maybe he was part of a convoy and he got fucking, got maybe
lost.
Maybe he got high or something.
He's blazing up like the alien in Meatballs 2. And then
Meathead.
And then Will Smith comes in and says, "Welcome to Earth." Punches him in the face. Yeah.
Yeah. What about Roswell? It's just one. Didn't just one alien crash in Roswell? Same thing. That's where they got it from.
Yeah, I guess so. There you go.
But there's something weird about the beginning. Not weird. I think it's pretty amazing. When this movie starts, which is amazing, the opening and the first thing you see is the planet Earth and this spaceship fly by. If you didn't know anything about this movie and someone just put that in and said, "Watch this movie," it's not at all what the movie's about. But the funny thing is, it's everything that the movie's about at the same time. It's just, you think you're seeing some type of space movie. You know what I mean?
It is weird. I don't feel like it's absolutely needed at all.
I love it. Really, I think it's so cool because of that.
Well, I don't think... Yeah, I like it. But at the same time, from a storytelling perspective, you could have just started with the helicopter chasing the dog. You would have picked up on everything else. So,
you got to have space, Matt. You know how when you see the letters for the thing come in and how fucking dramatic it is? It's better off having the background be black space and stars than the white snow, I think.
And Predator ripped this off.
Anything crashing to Earth
has the exact same opening.
Does it? That's how Predator begins? With
pretty much, yeah. Just in case you guys didn't know, this is an alien from outer space, okay?
And then John Carpenter's The Thing.
That is pretty cool. I love the whole font of that and the way it kind of melts away. It's very cool.
Yeah, what about how advanced their computers were, man?
Yeah, they could play chess.
Like the one program where he was showing how it goes into the cell and takes over the cell and copies like
Atari 2600.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Aren't you scientists? What the fuck?
How do you learn anything from looking at that?
I had better shit in 1982.
You learned how to play Zaxxon. That's about it.
Zaxxon, yeah. Fucking Tommy Jarvis.
Fucking bypass patch cord.
It's computer fucking exposition. And I guess it's good that they showed it. It's so much better that we're discovering it along with him. As kind of far-fetched as a program like that probably would be, because it's spelling everything out for the viewer. We're seeing it along with him. It's cool that way. Otherwise, he would just be doing research and say, "Oh, by the way, there's a 75% probability that one of us is infected. And if it happens to get into, outside of here, it'll take 27,000 hours and the whole Earth's going to be taken over." It's better off that we, witness it along with Blair as he's watching it on his computer.
It's amazing, yeah. And it's also amazing that this thing, unfortunately, for him or it, lands at a place with no birds. Like, couldn't it start taking over birds and then just spread that way? But Nope.
Well, it crashed. It never would have been taken anything. The only reason it's resurfaced is because the Norwegians went down there and fucking stuck their noses in. They said it was down there for 100,000 years.
Fucking Norwegians. Yeah. And like Keith David's like, how'd this motherfucker wake up after hundreds of thousands of years on the ice?
Now, how's this motherfucker wake up after thousands of years in the ice?
Yeah. You believe this voodoo bullshit, he says?
Dude.
Voodoo. How the fuck are aliens voodoo? Oh, that's fucking funny.
He's great. He's just another example of how the characters or the actors are fucking phenomenal across the board in this movie. I know we talked about how Donald Pleasance would be great in it, but Wilford Brimley...
when he starts smashing everything so they can't leave, that's awesome.
It's great, yeah. Yeah, I kept expecting him when he's saying, like, no one can leave, to be like, without a warm bowl of oatmeal. You need breakfast.
Watch Clark.
What?
I said watch Clark. And watch him close. Do you hear me?
What about the aspect, it started off as the werewolf, and then it had to start, it copied the humans, and the guy said that the reason it was copying humans is because it has to copy humans so it has the ability to leave. Because a dog could never run out of there and just run to civilization. It has to be a human so it could fly out or something like that. So that's pretty interesting how it even has an exit strategy.
Well, the thing is obviously smart. That's what I was trying to get at. Is like it's an advanced society seemingly, so it's clearly intelligent. Yeah, so it knows it needs to play the field, so to speak, so it can get out of there. Mm-hmm.
It just hopped. There happened to be the dogs there with the Swedes, or pardon me, I'm just like, what's his name, man? Which is something. Yeah,
doesn't
he keeps
give
calling
a shit.
Yeah, he keeps calling them Swedes, and fucking Doc keeps correcting them. The Norwegians, Mac. Yeah, which is something great about this movie. Just little things like that, and some guys don't get along with each other. Obviously, Mac and fucking what's his name? Miles, whatever. Keith David's character.
Child.
Strange name. Obviously those.
What's up, Child?
Yeah, they don't get along, and then you have a little beef with fucking Windows and Palmer, and that's like true to life. It's like underneath the surface. If you did get 12 guys together, there would be a couple little situations with a couple guys with big egos, like Mac and fucking Child. It's so true to life that there's like things underlying in the relationships,
Mm-hmm.
And with 12 dudes, that would happen.
Yeah, now, balls filling with jizz.
Oh, forget about it. My God. Now, if it was 12 women, they wouldn't have survived, and they wouldn't even needed the thing to be there to fucking.
They would have all ripped each other's eyes out after 2 weeks.
2 weeks. They wouldn't needed the thing, right? I'll tell you what's really funny though about that Blair, and it always makes me laugh, is fucking when Blair is flipping out, and they all get there, and one of the guys says he just chopped up the rest of the dogs, and then you see fucking Clark, he gets nervous and he runs away. This guy, he is obsessed with these fucking dogs.
Oh yeah,
loves them. Why would you have such major issues going on right now? And he's worried. He's just been told the dogs are dead. He really had to run off that road and see it with his own eyes. I laugh every fucking time.
He's more connected with those dogs than he is anybody else.
He is. And as a matter of fact, the guy that plays him, he was talking to the documentary about him when he was talking to Carpenter. And he goes, well, he was going over what part he would like to play. And he goes, I want to be him. And he's like, why do you choose him? And he's like, I just like the idea that he's more connected to the dogs. And he's kind of a loner. I think that'd be an interesting character to play. And that dog was half wolf and half dog.
See? That's what I said. You guys were laughing.
Werewolf.
Yeah, that's fucked up, though, that he was a half a wolf. And the guy was talking about it, Clark, because he had to work with him the most. And the guy that was like the trainer of him said, he goes, just be careful. He goes, occasionally he's going to give you a certain look. And when he gives you that look, it means he's nervous. Just fucking chill out, because the wolf in him at that moment is, it's confused, and it's not sure how it's going to, you're never sure how it's going to react. So you just got to
wolf out.
Yeah, he's going to wolf out. What are you gonna do, wolf up? Is that what he says?
He's gonna find. He's gonna find that guy's weed.
Older brother always keeps a stash.
Yeah, and Styles he's got the stash of weed. It's fine.
What are you looking at, Dick Nose?
God, what was happening to him?
I think if it had more time to finish, it would have looked and sounded and acted just like Benny's.
I don't know what you're saying.
That was one of those things out there, trying to imitate him, Gary. Come on.
McCready, I know Bennings. I've known him for 10 years. He's my friend.
We gotta burn the rest of them.
Yeah, Kurt Russell, we talked about him a little bit, and his performance, but I just thought he was great. Not just the way he acted, but his whole character and how he was written was perfect. Because even though he's the lead, clearly, in this movie, and I guess ultimately the hero, it's not played or written like that at all. He's a guy who just wants to fucking play chess and drink.
I'm tired of talking fix. I just want to get up to my shack and get drunk.
All this shit is going on around him, and he's dealing with that. And he's not like... He's a reluctant hero. I guess that's what it is. And Kurt Russell performing that just worked perfectly. I loved it.
Hey, what about the guy who killed himself by setting himself on fire? That's a crazy way to do it, man.
Yeah.
Fuchs, yeah. And we didn't see that. We just found the aftermath and the glasses, right? So they were...
Yeah, I just figured it out, yeah.
They were speculating as to... Because they were also thinking that, well, maybe the thing took him over and then charred himself. So that brings up a question like, when the thing takes you over, are there remains? Or does it just absorb you? Kind of like what Alex was talking about.
Right.
Well, I answered it earlier with what's his name?
What?
With the situation with Norris. How it was already inside him, and the human part of him knew that something was up. But see, I guess it depends on how much time it has to get in your system and how it gets in the system. Mm-hmm. Like with the dogs, you see it immediately. And later on, the situation after the blood test scene with fucking Palmer and Windows, when fucking one's eating the other out of his fucking head, and
dude,
instantaneous.
Amazing! That is the best effects I've seen ever.
Oh, that was the funniest thing.
It was
when
so
they had that
awesome.
Fucking puppet on the guy and he was swinging around. You see the puppet's body was just flailing.
It's like it's like a man on top and a man on bottom, and they're connected by the head. I love that. That was so great.
I love how the thing jumps out of the fucking the blood thing at first, and every time I see it, I know it's coming, and I almost always still jump at that scene.
This is pure nonsense. Doesn't prove a thing.
I thought you'd feel that way, Gary. You were the only one that could have got to that blood. We'll do you last.
Get away from me! Retreating! What is it?
It just happens so quick. You know it's coming, and it's just... And the way it comes out and the noise it makes, it's fucking so cool.
Yeah, because you're not suspecting it to happen at that moment. Because they're talking about, oh, we're going to do you next. And that's the... I forget who it is, but that's the guy who you think it's going to be. And it turns out not to be. So yeah, that's like the only moment where I really felt tension and true suspense, I guess. Like the whole movie is surrounded by paranoia and these guys freaking out. But as far as like me feeling suspense in a scene, that was the only one, and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's a classic fucking scene in horror history. Straight up, it's amazing.
And then I love the comic relief. Whenever they figure out that everybody's human, and the one guy's like, I want to get off this fucking couch or something like that. If you guys could just please find time.
Yeah, so I don't have to spend the rest of my life on this fucking couch.
Tied to this fucking couch.
Yeah.
I know you gentlemen have been through a lot. And when you find the time, I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch!
And before that, Keith David's like, okay, get me out of here. Get me the fuck out of here.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Mahoney, can you do that line? Say about the fucking couch. Go ahead.
Tied to this fucking couch!
I knew it would sound great. Thanks, bud.
Mahoney.
Okay, how about this? How about the fact that we have a character named Mac and a character named Windows in the same movie?
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Yes,
that
years
is
before
hilarious.
The computer wars. Yes.
Wow. That's crazy. I wonder why this guy... Why is his name Windows? Am I missing something?
Because of his glasses.
Yes.
Is that it? Oh, okay.
That's what I always thought.
All right. That's not as good. And he's the guy who gets...
He's transparent. He has no soul. What do you want?
What the fuck do you want?
God damn it.
I call him Jeff or Joe.
You know that in the TV cut, they actually put in all these additional scenes where they introduced all the characters. At one point, like before...
Like TV style? Like they look at the camera and smile and their name pops up?
Like at the beginning of 90210?
Kurt Russell as McCready.
Kurt Russell. Child.
No, some type of exposition, some small thing where they were each introduced. So you hear their name and maybe a tad bit of backstory before the movie started.
What?
And Carpenter hated it, of course. He says, no, this is not what I want. And it was never seen again. But apparently it was actually put on film at one point.
Oh, okay. So this isn't like a bonus feature on any kind of release or anything, huh?
No. Maybe they destroyed all the fucking... There was a bunch of scenes that were filmed and they're nowhere to be found. So I don't know what happened. Or if Carpenter did it that way with intent.
So,
Who
Dave, I just got to know, is there any missing footage?
No, there's not.
Fuck! God damn it. Ah, shit. Jesus. Not even on the Blu-ray or nothing.
Nothing. No, that's unfortunate. There's a great documentary called fucking Terror Takes Shape, which you can find on YouTube or on the original DVD release, but it is not on the fucking Blu-ray. Why? I don't know. And there's a great commentary with Carpenter and Russell on, I think, just about every version of the thing since the DVD came out. So
one thing that struck me, one of the similar, I guess stylistically or thematically too, is this movie took a little bit from the... Is it the late 70s version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Oh, I thought you might bring that up.
Yeah, a lot in the sound effects, the music, just the style of how, it takes over a human being and stuff like that. Anytime the tendrils come out of the thing and it makes a, kind of sound and stuff like that, it takes me right back to that version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is a... underrated film, in my opinion.
Do that noise again. Yeah, that reminds me of another movie. Who did that? There was a villain that did that in a movie.
Silence of the Lambs.
Thank you.
I'd like to eat his liver with some fava beans and a nice glass of Chianti.
Pretty good. Wow. So the thing reminds you of Hannibal Lecter. It always reminded me more of a rattlesnake sound. Like a... You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I always picture rattlesnakes and you see the tentacles moving around, so it always reminded me of snakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary. But I thought you were going to say, like, when they open their mouth really wide and make that noise.
Yes, that too. Like, when they fry the first guy.
Which is scary to me.
Yeah, when he's out there in the snow, on his knees, and you see his fucked up hands, and it's like, what the fuck? And he doesn't say anything. He just has like this blank look, and then he opens his mouth and starts that kind of thing. Yeah, that's straight out of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
That was the best.
The Grudge?
To me... That actually scares me. That's the only scene in the movie that makes me a little bit scared. Every time
Eat your heart out, Michael J.
Right. That Benning scene. But it's so awesome, and it's replicated because we initially see it with the dogs. When the dog does its thing, in the kennel scene in the beginning, the dog opened his mouth and lets out like a high-pitched shriek, which is kind of scary. But it's not the same because it's coming from a dog. Well, later on it's coming from a human, and it's more... It weighs heavier. I think it's cool every time they do it. It is scary. It's kind of, like you said, it was kind of done in Body Snatchers, but it's more effective in this. So I can't shit on it. We'll shit on midgets.
Yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Hey guys, this is Jackson. I saw your post on Facebook about calling in for a last minute drop on the thing while you're in post. And I had to call because this is probably my favorite movie One of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely my favorite John Carpenter movie, although there's others that are up there. My favorite remake and my favorite horror film ever. I mean, it's got everything. It's got Gary Kurt Russell. You know, the acting is awesome. Basically just a bunch of guys in a confined space talking to each other. And if you take out all the blood and gore, you have Glengarry Glen Ross. And the soundtrack is awesome. Glengarry Glen Ross minus like a head with 8 legs and, you know, 2 eyes sprouting out of it walking around. I love those kind of movies. The soundtrack is awesome. Morricone, even Carpenter's little synth cues that he puts in there to make it sound like a Carpenter movie. It's got endless rewatchability. The movie is awesome. Peel it back. I love the thing. Peel it back. I love the thing. Peel it back. I love the thing.
Back to the guy who has the heart attack, and they're trying to revive him and all that. Now, obviously, he's already turned when he has the heart attack, right? So I would think that this thing would be... It's so weird because, like, he's the thing, right? Couldn't it just, I don't know, make him a new heart or something that wouldn't, you know, fail on him? Wouldn't it know that something is wrong?
It wasn't that advanced yet. It wasn't that advanced yet, and it kind of did like, it laid dormant. Maybe it was the one that killed itself because it thought it was going to be discovered because it knew it was outnumbered. Just like in that great speech later, which is another shiny moment of the film where Max says, "I know I'm human, and I know most of you are, otherwise you'd be attacking me." And he talks about this whole theory about the thing. Well, it's not a theory, you know, it's fact. But at that time, that's what I get out of it. It would have been outnumbered. It couldn't show itself because they had flames and all that hell was breaking loose, and everybody was on edge. The one guy grabbed the fucking gun, windows, you know. So all this shit was going on. I think that maybe the thing shut itself down in that case. It just kind of like, well, I'm going to fucking drop dead, and then I can really take him by surprise.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right. So it was a tactic. I see.
Yeah. Why not? Because, number one, it was invading him slowly, in my opinion, as I've mentioned a few times already. Why not that have that be it? That it was just, you know, it shut itself down because it was threatened and it knew it couldn't do anything. And sure enough, I mean, the tactic worked. Fuck. Because all hell broke loose, and he took out, what, a couple people with him.
Oh, yeah. Now, so this movie is amazing. I wouldn't change anything about it. Absolutely nothing. But, you know, I was kind of hinting at it earlier when I was asking a question like, could you be a thing and not know it? And I think the ultimate answer is it's not like a filmable kind of story, but wouldn't it be more terrifying if the story was just about I personally think I'm a human. I don't know if I'm transforming. I don't know if I'm me. You know, kind of like it goes back to the clown thing of a guy slowly turning into something and having no control over it. That to me is just more terrifying than running away from a creature. But I don't know. So
maybe that's what is happening with the guy. I'll say it again now. That's what's going on with him.
Yeah, but
something doesn't feel right with him. That's why he says, "I don't feel I'm up to it." You know what I mean?
But it's just more subtle. You know, it's not. Yeah, you can't really express that internal fear that much in a movie. You know what I mean? So it's got to be a creature on the outside, which is fine. You know, it's just
there's no time in this movie. It's all about fucking. This thing wants to just kick ass and fucking go after everything it can, and you know, let's see it because it's all about the you know, them being sheltered and the special effects. I mean, it's all atmosphere and effects. It's not all. I shouldn't say that. It's so much better than that. But those are two of its, you know, real strong points.
I read, maybe it was some IMDb trivia or maybe some other website, but I read that this movie was first supposed to be helmed by Tobe Hooper.
Yeah, it was.
That's, I mean, I think I would have liked that still, but I don't know.
I don't think I would like it. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a Tobe Hooper fucking style of movie to me.
Yeah, I mean, Funhouse was kind of boring.
Funhouse is a chore to get through in the third act, man.
I'll give you that. Third act was tough. But I'm not opposed to Tobe Hooper, but not in this type of a movie. This is too...
Well, Tobe Hooper should have stayed out of this one.
Yeah, it's not his territory.
He could have never put the hands going into the guy's face like this movie did. It looked like the stretchy balloon thing.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
weird. Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about the big ending
Let's
that
do
is
it.
very subtle.
Got to talk about it, right?
You the only one who made it?
Not the only one.
Did you kill it?
Where were you, Charles?
Thought I saw Blair. I went out after him. Got lost in the storm.
Right? Is that definitive, or is that just like this thing was shot in two different places?
To me, it's the whole thing like Blade Runner, and how at the end of it it's like, well, is Harrison Ford a replicant? You know, and it's like the filmmakers say, oh yeah, there's a definitive answer, but it's just a thing being pushed forward by fans. You know,
No, dude, it's obvious. I was watching again, and it's so clear.
You talking
I'm going to
about?
spoil it after you guys are done.
I see. I don't think. I think the obvious answer is just a movie flub.
Really?
You're going to say that the breath thing?
Yeah.
Is why? Yeah, because McCready, you can see his breath, and Childs, you can't see his breath, which is cool. But I think you don't. They probably filmed them at two. You have one setup and then another setup.
But the thing is, it's so apparent. Like Kurt Russell's just breathing and the shit's just flowing from his face. How could Carpenter not pick up on that? Like,
well,
how could?
I mean, I never picked up on it until very, very recently, like in the past 3 years, when somebody told me that.
But they're all
I told
into
you
the
that.
shot
I read an
and how
article
it
on
looks.
somewhere. I didn't know it either.
Yeah, but they think differently than we do.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, check it out. I can spoil it for you. I know the answers.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Okay, we have John Carpenter himself. He's back.
Finally!
The real deal. The real McCoy.
Fresh from the hospital.
Check it out, though. More than once, there's two parts to the story, but more than once, John Carpenter and Kurt Russell have both stated that they don't know the ending. That it was left that way intentionally, and there is no fucking correct answer. Now, that's their answer on it publicly.
Thank you.
Now, hold on. Yeah. Now, check it out.
Justifies my answer.
When they first filmed the movie, they shot an alternate ending that they brought to the fucking test audiences or to whoever, just in case to see how this was going to play out. And in the other ending, they were going to have it that Kurt Russell, that Mac, actually survived it. And at the end, he was going to be picked up and rescued via helicopter by some other people. And they were going to find him, and they were going to take him, and he was the lone survivor. And then, now that's where it loses me. Either he was the thing, and when it got back to something was going to happen, or I think, honestly, they were making it play out that he was the hero. But I don't know. But the bottom line was there was a separate scene where he was picked up and taken away, and they ended up not putting it in the final film because apparently everyone was satisfied with the way the movie ended, the way it was. So nothing was done with any intent.
No, wait a minute. Let's do what Max says. I mean, he wasted Norris pretty quick, didn't he?
That's close enough, Clark.
He ain't tying me up.
Then I'll have to kill you, Charles.
Then kill me.
I mean it.
I guess you do.
Funny you should mention Blade Runner. This movie came out at the same time as Blade Runner. They both took a fucking shit and were critically slammed at the box office, and then both years later, got fucking huge momentum and ended up being fucking huge successes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And both have similar themes.
Yes, they do. And this is Carpenter's favorite film of his own. He was so disappointed with the fucking the result. And some of it they blamed on E.T. coming out a few weeks earlier, how they wanted, at the time it was about friendly aliens, so people didn't want to see this. I don't know. But what disappointed him the most was that the fucking guy that did the original fucking shit on it.
Because it's all about the effects and gore and stuff?
Yeah.
Or more so?
Yeah, Christian Nyby, his name was. He was the original director of the first thing. He said that fucking...
He made it interesting. He sucked.
He was bitching about the blood and shit. He goes, if I want to see blood, he goes, go to a slaughterhouse. And then he says, this is a great fucking, a great advertisement for fucking J&B or some shit.
Hell yeah! McCready's drinking harder than Dan Chalice up in this bitch. Well, fuck that guy. I mean, that's just a generational thing. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Exactly.
Of course. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to make it bloody, and they fucking
Look
did.
at those Beatles, those long-haired hippies. that's who the fuck that was, you little bitch.
And no one's getting out, bitch.
You reach anybody yet?
Reach anybody? We're 1,000 miles from nowhere, man, and it's gonna get a hell of a lot worse before it gets any better.
Well, stick to it, Window. Stick to it.
You see, when a man bleeds, it's just tissue. The blood from one of you things won't obey when it's attacked. It'll try and survive.
So let's figure out who's who. I guess we can't really give away any awards, really, because, I mean, what do you guys think? Best kill? I mean, how do you do that? How about we say...
Sure. Why not?
You can? Okay.
There are kills. Right. There's kills throughout this movie. Go ahead.
Yeah, they all get torched. I know what you mean, but how about the best alien scenes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Something like that instead, right?
Right.
Okay.
I guess, bottom line, the award is still the same. Can you still call it a banana split? Or what else you going to call it?
Right. Well, let's start with the banana you'd like to peel. Now, I'm going to fuck Childs. I mean, David Keith, whatever his name is, I'm fucking him.
I think he probably had the biggest ass, so maybe.
I'm gonna fuck McGreevy.
I'm gonna fuck the computer.
Yeah, probably there's porn on there at least, right?
Yeah, Jesus. And it's filled with booze now.
Yeah. That's something I would have done back in the day. Fuck.
He has a lot of foresight, right?
Right, a lot of foreskin too.
Oh Jesus. All right, so banana split, best kill / alien scene. I'll go first. Mine, I went back and forth because I love, and we didn't even talk about it, but the spider head scene where it's trying to get away from the flames.
It's not trying that hard.
Yeah, it could go a little faster.
It looked like it was getting away. Then it just sort of stopped in the hallway to look at. Hey, you guys notice me? I'm leaving. Hello.
Hey guys. Check these eyeballs out. They're crazy. But I have to go with the inverted man on man effect where Windows is it Windows? Yeah, his feet are on the ceiling. That whole scene is just very kinetic, and that's just a crazy fucking effect that it's just amazing. It's like something you'd see in a dream. Two guys sharing the same head at one point. It's really unique and cool. So I go with that one.
Well, you kind of stole my thunder in the beginning, but then you didn't go with it. So
Oh, sorry.
No, but you didn't go with it. But you mentioned it. I mean, that scene with fucking Norris, that entire scene, the way you played out, first of all, it's a sequence. First the fucking stomach closes and bites fucking the doc's arms off. Then all that stuff comes out. Then with the head, that's all that shit. The other head comes out of his stomach, and then his head detaches. There's a story about me in this fucking thing. Now, I don't know if this happened before that epic night that I saw Friday Part 3 and became an official horror fan, or after. But I saw this scene on HBO. I just happened to be flipping channels, and I came across it one day, and I just happened to see that scene. And the head detaches, and how fucking badass is it? Goes down, hits the ground. First the fucking antennas come up, then the legs come up, and a fucking spider type upside down the head thing. And it scampers away. And I remember watching this as a kid and just it blew my fucking mind. I was like, oh my God, what is this? You know, and I felt just like the fucking, what's his name? He goes, you gotta be fucking kidding.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
I felt just like that. I never saw anything like that in my life. I mean, there isn't very many movies like this as is. So way back then, it fucking blew my mind, and to this day, it still does. I think that's just an incredible scene. So that's what it's all about for me.
I guess I'll mix it up, and I'll go with the defibrillator scene when he puts his goes to shock him, and his stomach opens up and turns to teeth. I guess
that's the same thing I'm talking about. It's the same scene.
Oh,
it's one whole. That's the sequence. First, his stomach does one thing, and then his head does another. Haven't you been listening to me at all?
Dude, I'm cough medicine again.
Hey, guys, quit arguing.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. I like Alex better on cough medicine. That's okay, buddy. It's worth it. Go ahead.
Yeah. My mind slipped. You know, as you were talking, all I was doing was picturing the scene with his head. So I kind of zoned out of what you were saying, and I didn't realize that before that was the defibrillator. Okay, I'll go with another one then. Let's see. When the guy was just going with the hands, that was the best. No, really, honestly,
diplomatic.
Honestly, that was obviously wasn't as grand as the other stuff, but to me, that was really creepy. Like something's insanely creepy about something like that, and because it's like he's there, but he's not behind those eyes, and the way he's just looking at everybody, and his hands, you could just tell he's fucked up. Like he's just fucked up, and that's so creepy. And the sound he was making, it's actually perfect. So I would actually take that subtle moment as my favorite, probably.
Wow.
So it is actually a real answer.
Nice, good. Nobody mentioned the dog thing. The dog sequence is my second favorite thing. I think that whole scene in the fucking cage is incredible. With the fucking when it first comes in there and then when they discover it, and you know the guy's like, "What's going on? I don't know, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is." And you know the dog, it splits open, and then you see this fucking, like I mentioned before, those hissing tentacles, and then that whole scene was incredible. How about those dogs? How they were bugging the fuck out, and that one dog was like biting the cage and shit.
Oh yeah,
that's fucking deep shit, man. Just think about that. If that really was a dog, that was its reaction, that it was that fucked up.
There's one thing I don't understand though. Whose dirty underwear was that they found?
Oh my gosh, I wrote that right here. It's circled. That was my next question. Yes.
Oh, why you disrespectful men been tossing his dirty drawers in the kitchen trash can? Huh? But now I want my kitchen clean, all right? Germ free.
I don't know. To this day, Matt, enlighten us, please.
I think that is something that they threw in knowing that it wouldn't be answered, because that just helps create the paranoia of who's who in the movie.
So it's like McCready's torn clothes, which is never really explained.
Yeah, that's never really explained. I think that the shit found in the trash is never really explained. So I think it's on purpose.
I could buy that. It's just weird, though. He goes, "Which one of you nasty motherfuckers is putting his dirty drawers in my fucking, in my kitchen garbage?" That is fucked up. Why would they be dirty? Why did somebody shit themselves? That's what I don't get.
Have you seen what's going on in this movie?
Yeah, frightening scenario.
That's true. Yeah, maybe the first guy that got taken over by the thing, which it could only have been him. Maybe he did shit himself. Yeah, okay. I could buy that. Now, how about, I have a question here. Maybe you guys can help me. Blair's shack. When they go back to Blair's shack later on in the movie, and he's gone when they're going to give him the blood test, how did that happen? So you mean to tell me that this old man lifted up the floorboards, dug fucking tunnels underground, like Jason in the remake, and fucking somehow got outside and got to some helicopter parts and was building himself a fucking saucer? That's the one thing I don't get about this movie.
He was an alien at that point. He probably has superhuman strength or something.
Oh, so wait a minute. So you think he was an alien before they even put him in the thing, when he was flipping out with the axe and all that shit? Or do you think the alien got to him outside?
No, I think once they go back out there and he's pleading to come back in, that's when I thought, okay, he wants to get back inside now. I think somehow he is now overtaken. Whether it happened slowly, eternally, or if somebody went out there and did it.
Wow. Thank you. Fucking the wizard strikes again. How about that? No, it's great. We all sit here again and fucking post questions and someone else can answer them. Yeah, I can buy that. Okay.
Okay.
That's all we all had questions, and I think they've all been answered. So, wow, this makes a perfect movie even more perfect in my eyes. So
perfect. Well, let's make it official and give final thoughts and ratings. I will go first, and I will just say my final thoughts the same as Jason Bizarre. B-I-Z-Z.
I think it's B-A-Z-A.
It is.
It's all A's.
Anyway,
okay, Bizarre is cool. I like it.
It's also unusual.
Everyone has it.
His name is really unusual.
Anyways, he states in his email to us, which you guys can send us an email about anything at bananalaser@gmail.com.
Anything.
He says, The Thing just has great performances from top to bottom. This is the best acting you'll see in any Carpenter film, and probably better than any other genre film out there. It was a high-budget film for a horror movie, and this is where such a budget pays off. Professionally quality acting, screenwriting, set design, and wholly special fucking effects. 5 out of 5. Thank you, Jason.
Right on.
And I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and I said it on the Skeleton Crew when we had our top 10, and this was in my top 10. So obviously I love the movie, and it's one of those movies, something about it. I actually love to watch this movie by myself. It's just something about it where I sit down and I just indulge myself in the atmosphere of the movie. And just, it's one of those movies I just get sucked into, and I almost feel like I'm there with them. There's nothing bad I can say. Very quotable, great characters, everything's relatable. Special effects are incredible. Music, cinematography, everything. To me, there's not one weakness on this film. And I'm blowing the thing, you know? I almost did the fucking Michael... see? Thank you. I almost did the Michael J thing, and you did it. So, wow. We're hanging out with Michael J an awful lot. See what happened? He's rubbing off on us. But, yeah, it's obvious. I got to say one more thing. That one part when he says, "We're not getting out of here alive, but neither is that thing." That's a line that's always weighed heavy with me. I could just imagine being in that situation and just think about that. You know you're facing death. How often does that happen? It's just, I don't know. Just that scene in the movie always hits me. I'm like, man, that's fucking deep. I mean, you know you're going to die, but you're still going to take this thing on. Think about how disappointed you are when a football team loses. Or a fucking, something that you order arrives and it's the wrong thing. And you lost a game, you know, or you lost a fucking order, or someone fucked up.
Or you don't get butter with your goddamn pancakes, or no syrup.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Think about how disappointed you are losing in that. Imagine you're losing your life. It doesn't get any deeper than that, and you're facing it head on. I'm not afraid to die as a person, or death, but to have someone say right then and there, "We're not getting out of here alive," you know, it's always weighed heavy with me. But anyway, I digress.
Biff, I said 2 coats of wax, not just one. Sorry, Mr. McFly.
5 severed heads out of 5.
5 severed heads.
The thing is, it's weird because I never had many people talk about it much when I was getting into horror, like back in our CLAD days, Dave. I never thought about it or gave any thought to it. I saw more when, you know, it was on Halloween on the TV. I saw more of that than I did this movie. Like, I probably saw this movie for the first time about 8 years ago. Then I saw it one more time about 2 years ago. And then I feel like I saw it twice in the last year, though. It's weird. It's like, it's perfect to me. But for some reason, I don't see it as like a favorite of mine. I'm not really sure why. I guess I have to watch it a few more times and alone, because whenever I watch movies with people, I always wonder what they're thinking instead of just enjoying it. And Tiffany loves the movie. She saw it twice with me. She loves it both times. And she even said, "This guy's going to turn into an alien," and I didn't even know that this time around. So I don't know what's wrong with me. But I'm going to give this movie a couple more watches on my own in a few months. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't complain about really anything about it. It has a great atmosphere. The isolation aspect is great. The fact that it's almost impossible to actually escape from that area, and the fact that it could be anybody. I mean, there's so many elements to this that just make it. I mean, there's not a weak point, I don't think. of the whole movie. I mean, what's the weak point? Even the effects are top notch. The acting is top notch. The casting is top notch. I don't know. There's really nothing wrong with the movie. So I give it a. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 until I feel like it's one of my personal favorites.
Fair. You know what? I'll meet you on that. Back in the days when we were on CLAD, I seen it before. I remember, like I said, I remembered it when I was a kid and loving the special effects. And then it's just one of those movies that took a while for me to come around. And
Right.
over the last 10 years, it's really... Same thing with Psycho, actually. Certain movies just kind of snuck in there. And as an adult, I find myself enjoying them much more. And I still enjoy Halloween more, but it might... I can't say that. I was about to say it might eventually surpass Halloween with more views, but...
Yeah, let's say what is Carpenter's best movie? Let's do that to wrap this up. Is it Halloween or is it The Thing?
Well, this is a $10 million budget compared with $375K, like I said before. And money, of course, isn't everything, Don Corleone. But I still would rather watch Halloween on Halloween night. It still gives me certain feelings that no other movie does, so it's always going to be pedestaled. And I almost feel guilty because I love The Thing so much, and how could you not look at that and see how quality it is? So I guess if there's a difference between best and favorite,
Yeah, okay, we can do that.
Best, well, if there is a difference, this is his best made film. However, my favorite is Halloween, and and if given the choice, right now I'm still sticking with Halloween. But it's one of those things. But yeah, that's the best answer I got right now. I'm weighing it out. It's a tough choice. They're both excellent movies.
All right, Matt?
I would say that it's really tight. But I would say that this is his best movie that he's made to date. And it's also my favorite.
Wow.
Nice.
And now Halloween is like a millimeter behind it in both aspects as far as being his best work and my favorite movie. It's like it's one of those things I feel like it could change with the weather. It's like ask me tomorrow, I'm going to say Halloween. But I don't know, I just always had more of a connection to this movie than I did with Halloween. Maybe it has to do with the effects. Most likely that's it, I think. The effects, just drew me in at a young age. So,
right.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm going to say this is clearly better than Halloween. There's just so much to it. I mean, it's so... Halloween, but then you got to go with, well, just because something's more complicated and grandiose, can simple be better at the same time? Think about it. In Halloween, you're just filming people walk up and down the street, and in houses and stuff.
Yeah, but that's never dull, and that's to attribute how good of a filmmaker he is.
Exactly, but it's not as ambitious, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But it's the craftsmanship in Halloween is so, like, the levels are just so high. I don't know how he just did everything right, and the music just puts it over so much that it's just a phenomenon. Really, Halloween is really a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Something so simple being so incredible is really a rarity, even though that's normally the way things work. With the more fundamental and simple they are, the more the people usually like it, believe it or not. And the more complicated and hard to do, sometimes they don't like it. Favorite, Halloween's definitely my favorite over this. Obviously, I can't even, it's not even in whatever. In Halloween, I probably saw it 60 times. So I don't think that's going to change, even if I do warm up to The Thing. I just think it'll be in my top 10 or something like that. But I don't think it's ever going to be, even though Halloween's not my top 10.
All right, so that pretty much wraps up our discussion on John Carpenter's The Thing. We didn't even say Lovecraft once.
Wow.
So there you go. And
this is so Lovecraftian.
Fucking laser
Banana Laser wins every time.